and my fellow moderator, Leslie Sessoms, is also here. So welcome to the Texas Women Photographers Circle. This is our monthly meeting, and every month I invite a guest speaker to share their work, to inspire us to try something new, and we're trying to build a stronger community of photographers. The schedule for upcoming presentations is on my website at lindanickell.com, as well as the links to previous sessions on YouTube. Tonight's guest is Jama Pantel. Jama is a family portrait photographer based here in Austin, and as a freelance photographer, her work has been featured by the New York Times, and she's also been named Best of Austin's Portrait Photographer for many, many, many years in a row. But in tonight's presentation, Strike a Pose, Jama is going to share a few simple rules and tips that can help anyone pose like a pro. And if you're on Instagram, look for her at Jama Pantel, or reach out to her through her website at jamapantel.com. So, Missy, welcome to our monthly Facebook Texas Women's Photographers Circle. Gosh, this is such a long name to the group, but first of all, you and I, let's just get the disclaimer out. You and I know each other. I've beaten you down, and then I pulled you back up, and I beat you down, and we've had fun the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Jama has done several presentations for my other group called the Happiness Hour. And when I started doing those, I reached out to a handful of people. And Jama was one of the few that I did not know. And I said, hey, do you want to come do this? And everybody's like, yeah. I'm like, who wants to go first? And then it was everybody looking at everybody. And Jama, who is very, very quiet and very shy in her she thinks she's shy. With me, she's not. But she's like, I'll do it. And I was like, yay. She goes, I just want to get it over with. And since then, you've done, I don't know, 3 or 4. And then you actually came and did the live happiness hour at a local photography festival in Georgetown for me. So you've had a lot of experience with the Zooms and the presentations, and we are approaching the holiday season. And, there's always people doing selfies and people doing photos with their friends and their families. So for selfish reasons, I'm like, tell me how to pose. Because I have picked up some tips from you over the last couple of years. But with that, I'm going to hand it off to you and let you run with it.
Okay, thank you. I'll share my screen. I put together a presentation. Before I do that, I just want y'all to know this is something that I've been working on as a handout that I'm going to be offering on my new website that should be live relatively soon in the next couple weeks or so. So this is going to be a free download on my new website. So if there is anything in here that I could explain better, let me know. Please let me know in the comments. I'm trying to keep it succinct in the handout as just a general guide, but I want it to be useful for anybody and everybody to try to speak in non-photographer lingo, if that makes sense. So please let me know if A, you have any questions, B, if it makes sense, if you need anything explained further. I'm more than happy to do that. And in general, I'm a hot mess, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to share my screen here. So again, strike a pose. Everybody has the ability to pose well. It's just a matter of knowing the do's and don'ts. And if you know all the do's, it's easier to break the don'ts in a flattering way. So I didn't put my link to my website or anything else, but everything's my name, jamapantel.com. On social media, I am way more active on my personal page, Jama Pantel. I tend to ignore my business accounts, which are photos by Jama Pantel. So I talk a lot about my personal running on my personal page, but I'm way more active on there. If you have any questions, you are free to reach out to me on there. in my stories, I share way more of my photography than I do on the actual page. So what we will be discussing tonight about me, which I'll do really briefly. I think Linda did a way better job. I don't like talking about me, and I don't think that page really says anything. The face and finding the light, the shoulders, chin, mouth, hands, what to do with them, feet and legs. And even if the feet and legs are not in the picture, they help frame you for the picture. So it's always something you want to keep in mind. Posing as a couple or groups, there are flattering ways to do that. The camera angle where it should be for the flattering images, and a couple simple tricks if you blink a lot, is what we'll be talking about. And as always, keep in mind, have fun. It's all about having fun. About me, as Linda said, been named Best Portrait Photographer in Austin for the past 6 years. I've had my business for over a decade, but have about 25 years or so photo experience. I got started in the film day in the darkroom in a studio, learning proper posing and lighting techniques. So it's something that's ingrained in me. Again, that's why I ask if you have any questions, let me know. It's so ingrained in my mind and my lingo. I don't know if I always explain it well. So first things first, the face and finding the good light. We always want to face towards the light. And again, every rule is made to be broken, and I can explain a little bit about that too if you are. But you can see in both of these photos, the ladies, the lighting is coming from this side, so they're looking over their shoulders to the light on that side. The idea behind that is to obviously have a well-lit face, but the eyes are the windows to your soul, right? And so you want those eyes to be lit properly, so you can see a picture. If the eyes are dark, it really unless that's the look you're going for, rules are made to be broken. If you're standing under a fluorescent light, it's going to cast shadows down. It's just not flattering. You always want to follow your eyes and your nose together towards the light, so there's not too much whites of the eyes in there. And it's just better to have good light in the eyes than not. It really does make or break a picture. Now, that being said, if you want a beautiful backlit image, clearly there's not going to be light in your eyes when it's at your back. That's when we talk about breaking the rules, a little more advanced techniques. That's, you can pull, fill, flash into the face, into the eyes, but you always want to, and it can be something as simple as a white sheet of paper can reflect back into the light. I tend to, when I photograph outside, wear a white or light colored shirt because it reflects back into the eyes and the people. Again, just watch those shadows under the eyes. Some people who have the hooded eyebrows that come out a little bit more, that's when light is really important, when they create the shadow. So you want to be able to bounce light back in any way you can. Again, even a simple white sheet of paper underneath does a good job bouncing it. So always face the good light. So shoulders, chin, and mouth. All of these are still the upper part of everything. We like the shoulders uneven. For guys, you can get away with the broad-shouldered square on. Clearly, that's a look they like. A lot of women might not like that. Shoulders uneven, one forward, one back, one up, one down. As you can see, she's doing that in this picture here. They play a crucial part in framing your face. If you're too tense, that's not flattering. So just relax, loose, forward, back, up, down. Very simple. It can just make all the difference. Raising one shoulder, leaning in, stuff like that. So double chins, that's a thing a lot of people have concern with. So we always want that chin out and down. And that covers the neck area and it elongates the neck and gives us that beautiful flattering thing. And I know it's hard for me when I laugh, when I smile, when we all laugh and smile, we tend to do it coming in. And so you have to be cognizant and do it out and down a little bit, and it covers all of that. So when we laugh, we want to do this, but we need to remember this. So basically, simple trick, face the camera directly and just push it out and then down. And your jawline's extended, strong, powerful. Very simple. Tip for smiling: if you don't smile on command very easily, and I do this all the time, press your tongue to the roof of your mouth and it'll automatically put that kind of smile on your face. It raises your lips, puts that smile in, and it just helps it look more natural than the forced, like teeth together, forced smile. So tongue to the roof of the mouth, and it helps draw the mouth up in a more natural way. If you're going for a different look than not a smile, and I'm horrible at this, so I am not the best example, but if you close the lips together and breathe through the nose, and you get the soft look, which I cannot do. I am not a soft looked person, but close the lips, breathe through the nose, chin out and down. You don't want to do the duck lips too much. So it's just a soft, natural, slightly more inviting look. So things to keep in mind with that. All right, moving on. We've got the hands and the arms. Everybody always asks, what do I do with my hands? In this example, I have her holding on to her jacket. That's something very easy you can do. You never want them symmetrical. You always want everything asymmetrical, uneven. If you're not sure what to do with them, you can hold something. If we're all photographers in the room, holding the camera is simple and easy, and it takes away the what do I do with my hands. If you don't have anything to hold, a coffee mug is another simple thing to hold for pictures. Most people drink coffee, tea, something like that. So if you don't have anything to hold, that's when you can loop them in your belt loops, your pockets, your jacket pocket, jeans pocket, whatever. Put them on the jacket like this. Just so many different things to do, things to remember when you're doing that. I say, jazz hands, always keep your hands relaxed, loose, and comfortable. That just helps them look more natural in front of the camera. You can put a hand on the hip. If you do the hand on the hip, raise it up higher to the natural hip, not your waist, where you're generally more comfortable putting it. If you do it on your natural hip, it draws your waist in, and it helps make a more flattering pose too. Likewise, your arms, you never want to stand with them flat against your body. That adds weight. You always want them separated from the body. In the example with her, we want those elbows bent. It creates a flattering triangle. Both of these here are the triangles and the look we're looking for. So they are not flush up against her body. They're out, separated from her body at a bent angle. And then again, you can run it through your hair. Different things like that all just add movement. Even though it's a still picture, we say it adds movement. If you give somebody a directive on what to do, it helps them get out of their own head and feel more comfortable. So for this, I instructed her, I was like, I'm going to have you holding your jacket with both your hands, not even, and just kind of turn at the shoulders. And it gets her moving and gets her mind off of, standing there and posing. So she is actually moving in this picture as I'm capturing it. So we create that movement that, again, you can see the shoulders are not, they're uneven. The look we're going for, hands, arms, everything like that. So moving on, we have the feet and the legs. So again, when you do this in full body, clearly it shows, but you also want to stand like this if you're just doing a head and shoulders shot as well, because it helps frame the body and create those flattering angles that we're looking for. A very easy thing to do with the feet and legs is to just walk. So if you're taking a picture of yourself, you can do multiple exposures as you're walking. But I have my clients walk, again, swing those shoulders, walk, and I tell them a catwalk like walk, where it's direct, one foot directly in front of the other one, a slow, exaggerated movement, because that keeps the separation. Again, we are always looking for triangles. You can see them in her arms. You can see it in the legs here. Not flat together, little bend. So if you're looking for a slimming pose, you want the weight on the back foot and the bend in the front leg. That is the slimming pose for women. Some women who are trying to push out the booty and show that a little bit more, then it's the opposite direction. We put the bend in the back leg and the front leg straight and put the booty towards the camera more. So again, the rules are weight shifted away from the camera, but if you're looking for that bootylicious pose, then you put that weight towards the camera. Anything that's closer to the camera is more in focus and bigger, if you will. Again, always keep movement in the picture. For this, we had her moving. Like I said, we had the fan moving it. We had an assistant in there throwing the material, so everything's moving. You can see the fan in her hair, adding movement. So everything's movement here, even though it's a still picture and she looks like she's standing still. She's moving, assistants throwing fabric moving, fans moving the hair, everything's moving, but it maintains a portrait, a still image. Again, I think I put in here, don't forget to add a fan in to get some movement. Watch the direction of the wind if you're outside. If you're outside, you have longer hair. Clearly, the wind facing one way is going to blow it into your face. So watch that. Make sure it blows it away from your face so you can see. And you would adjust that for, again, the lighting, angles, and everything else. So this is just for standing. You can do the same stuff with seated poses. So when you're sitting, same thing with the legs. You never want them even. You never want to, and when I say never, these are the standard rules. Anything's made to be broken. You don't want to cross them at the, like you sit down and cross your feet. You don't want to do that. You always want to cross them at the ankles. It creates long lines at the ankles and that uneven look we're looking for versus sitting flat-footed, feet on the ground. Always shift that weight and cross them. So if you're sitting down at your desk right now, try crossing your ankles. It's going to shift your weight a little bit and it's going to help frame you. And so that helps frame you even if you're just posing your upper body too. So those are the things to keep in mind with the feet and the legs.
I like your little tip. I shouldn't say little tip, but your tip about the hair, because it goes back to when I think it was like the crunchy, the products, because I've seen people do this and you're like, it shows up, especially when they're, I don't know, it looks awful. So I'm glad that you've added that.
Yeah, if you add that, again, the fan, the movement, the wind, if you don't have a fan and you have an assistant, you can wave a piece of paper and it's going to get enough movement to move that hair and get it off of there. And that's exactly what I like doing to show movement. It's just a flattering look. Obviously, I have really long hair, even though you can't tell now. So when I put the fan on it, it gets crazy. So it does get tamed down in Photoshop after the fact. You do tend to take more pictures with the fan because it's constant movement and you want to make sure you get a good final image, a good final product or whatever. So, yeah.
Okay.
Couples and groups. So this lovely couple is my mother and my sister. Because they're a family, I pose them very close together. My sister's very tall. My mother is short like me. I think on the final image of this, the one that I ended up using, I had my sister sit down, so they were a little bit closer together. But in this example, it just shows stand close together, holding each other. You can see my mom's arm is wrapped around her. In the final one, I think I had my sister's arm wrapped back around my mother. You see how my mom's head's leaning in towards my sister. I think in the final one, I had my sister's head. I don't know why I had this one up and not the final one I used, but showing connection. So we always want to lean in towards each other versus away from each other. It just creates a more interesting composition that way. Now, say these were work colleagues and you're photographing business or something like that, you would still lean the heads in towards each other, showing that connection, but you wouldn't be hugging. They would be independent poses next to each other. So if it were two business owners, I would still lean their heads into each other to show that they're together, but a separate entity. And then you would pose them individually, like I've been talking about posing individually. You always want different layers, if that makes sense, levels here too. Again, my sister's really tall, so she's hard to pose with. So I did sit her down, but she was still at a different level than my mother that way. If you had me, I'd be way down here. So we, again, always look for triangles is what I say. So if there were a third person here, it would be a triangle of the heads right here is what we would be looking for. Versus if it's two, then they're angled in towards each other. If you add in a fourth, same thing. I always start in the middle and pose the middle person and then go to the outside. And again, always have them leaning into somehow that way, whether it be a shoulder, the head tilt, all of that. So it shows connection between each and everybody. I'm not big on like the cheesy heart hand poses or anything like that with the couples and stuff like that. But that's, just another way to show connection. You do the same with the hands, with the arms and everything else, together, stuff like that. So again, you want different levels and layers and the triangles of the groups leaning in towards each other to show connection and like you like each other. Camera angles. Obviously, you can do a low and a high camera angle. High camera angles where you're coming up and looking down, where the camera is above the eyes. It can create a slimming look. A lot of people do that. If you take selfies, you've noticed a lot of people take selfies from above. It tends to be a more flattering angle. I have a larger nose. When I take selfies, I take them above. All you see is my nose. Again, it's not for everybody. I have to take mine at a head-on angle or slightly up to minimize those features. So you can raise the camera up. I take a short person stool with me everywhere I go. I'm 5'2". Today I was working with a business and there were several 6'3" tall men in there, and we don't want to be shooting up in their nose. So that would be the low camera angle looking up. It can create a power pose if that's the look you're going for, where you're shooting down and up, and it can create a power pose if you do that. Again, remember that chin out and down, so you're not shooting up the nose. You're looking more directly at it. So again, that's done in high fashion. Models are typically beautiful. You can get away with that shooting different angles. Slightly above eye level is where I tend to put mine. Universally, that works well for everybody. And again, same thing, chin placement matters. You never want to be looking up a nose. It's not a flattering look for anybody. So that keep an eye on the chin down and the angle that you're having that face. And then don't be afraid to have fun. Everything is made to have fun. Be yourself. If you have blinkers, both of these ladies were blinkers. We close our eyes, we open them last minute. So I will do a countdown 1, 2, 3, and they open them big. And by the time they come back down to a normal position, you get the eyes open. The people who smile and have the squintier eyes when they smile, same thing. Close those eyes, open them big, and they come back down, and you can get those eyes open. And just remember to have fun, movement, things matter. Clearly in this, you can see movement in the hair. There's a fan behind blowing it forward. We've got the triangles with the hand placement in the hair. I'm having her move, do all the crazy movements. Same thing here. Tip of the hat on the hand on the hat. We've got the triangle here that creates the flattering thing. We've got our fingertips dainty towards the camera. Guys, you can get away with putting the fist towards the camera. For women, we like it turned away. It's a more dainty, flattering look. in the general rules of photography. Same thing when their hands are in her hair, they're to the side for that very reason. We're okay with showing the sides of the hands instead of straight on. We don't like fist straight on. We don't like this straight on. Everything's to the side. Angled, soft, demure is what we typically go for a flattering image. Again, all of these rules are made to be broken. If you're doing a power pose, a powerful woman, put that hand forward, whatever story you're trying to tell with the images, know the rules. You can break them safely, and don't forget to have fun. And that takes me to the end of it.
Okay.
I will stop sharing here. I tend to talk fast. I apologize.
All right.
Go through everything fast.
So this is unrelated to posing, but my question was going to be most of the ladies that were in these photographs, and I know this is part of one of your projects, is it 40 over 40? Is it 50 over 50 this year?
It's 40 over 40. Not all of these are projects. A lot of them are. I tend to get a lot of business headshots, and they're like, well, I also love your work and want something fun. And so we end up doing fun as well.
Well, I was looking at the colors, and so I wanted to ask about color. When you're posing people, there were a lot of people in black because we love black. It minimizes other stuff. Are there some good? Can you make any suggestions on colors? What photographs well? Because it seems like when I see people in red, it's a hard color. Sometimes it's orangey when when you're processing. Is there a good color for? Not so much me photographing other people, but maybe what I should be wearing.
So colors reflect. Right. So if you wear white, it's going to reflect back in. If you wear black, it desaturates the color, takes it out. So good lighting is always a must. Mm-hmm. Red reflects a lot and reflects back into the skin of people. So all of these colors are harder to photograph for those very reasons if you don't properly light people. If you're outside shooting people outside, it's green because you're in earth. The green reflects onto the skin and makes people look sickly. Again, that's why you need some kind of light reflecting onto people to avoid all of these contrasts, right? So any color that people wear photographs well. It's a matter of what goes well with their skin tones, and a big part of that is lighting properly. So if you're going to photograph colors, I tell people avoid loud patterns. They tend to detract from the image and take away from it. However, some people, that is their look, and we're not afraid to play with that. If that's the look, then we do it on a simple background. You don't want a loud, let's say, striped or chevron pattern outside, outdoors. It just doesn't go well together. You'd want that on maybe a more solid cement wall outside or a simple background inside. So depending on the background and the look you're going for, I tend to shoot a lot on black, white, and gray. So gray works really well for colors, any color that you want to photograph. So you also want to keep in mind complementary colors, right? Blue and yellow complement each other. So if you're going to wear blue and you want a pop of color, maybe a yellow scarf, those colors go well together. And so just think of the color wheel that you learned as a child. You've got all the colors on the wheel, and the colors across from them work really well together. The colors right next to them might not be the best colors together, but they're in the same wheelhouse, if you will. So like orange and red, I don't think are complementary colors. They're right by each other in there. So I wouldn't wear them together. But if you go across from the red, you've got like your purples and stuff like that, and those go really well together. If you're doing families, then you can pull from those across the color wheel to tie them in so they still look uniform, but not matchy, where everybody's not in the all white or the all black, and have those color tones from the different parts of the wheel. And I totally could put a wheel in here that helps explain it. But if you go and look at a color wheel, you pick the color opposite from it is the best match for it, and not the color right by it.
Okay. Thank you. That's
and fine. Yeah. And black is flattering and slimming. And Apparently, I've been told that my signature look is black on black because I can separate a subject from the background very well. And they automatically lose 100 pounds the way they are posed. And a lot of women love that look. So it is something that I photograph a lot of. So I always ask everybody to bring, when I work with my clients, I tell them we want a dark neutral color. So that's your blacks, grays, navies are the colors that I tend to associate with that. We do a lighter neutral. So that's your nudes, your whites, creams, those types of colors. I tell them their signature color, whatever color that would be. And then just something fun that you wouldn't think of, things that photograph well. If you don't like your arms, something with lace, that covers it, but still shows your skin is very, very pretty. Different necklines are fun and add attention and stuff like that. If you do like the off the shoulders, those work well because you can do a covered shoulder and a bare shoulder, and just adds a simple change just by turning the shoulders, and creates different looks without changing an outfit. Again, scarves, throwing in scarves, jackets, coats, hats, anything like that can totally change an image without changing an outfit.
I like that. Jama, thank you so much. I always feel like I owe you for doing all these things for me, but I really don't. You're never going to collect.
No. But I will take you up on meeting me to eat after a run anytime.
Yeah. Well, we're due for one, actually. You're on
Absolutely. Yeah.
you're on my list. After the holidays, I promise we're going to go and do something fun.
Definitely.
I'm not seeing any questions in here, which is also a good thing. It's, but if you do have questions, sneak them in really quick. Otherwise,
Or they fell asleep, which is totally possible.
I don't think that's the case because they're still in here, but I'm going to go ahead and close out this session. If you're on Instagram, you can look for Jama at Jama Pantel, or reach out to her through her website at jamapantel.com. And I love that you have used your name as your branding, because I think that is one of the smartest marketing moves that people can do. All right. Let's see. Next week, actually not next week. Gosh, the weeks and the months are just blending together. But thank you for joining us. And next month on Thursday, January 5th, can you believe it? It's already next year. Our guest will be travel and landscape photographer Kathy Chassie, whose presentation, Destination Unknown, Tips to Travel for Landscape Photography. Kathy will be here to share what she knows. So until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season and that you find time to enjoy for some photography.